You're watching KWWL. We've got you covered.
Bullet holes through a home's window.
Boom, 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 like a war zone.
Breaking news here live at 5 o'clock. The big manhunt is over at this hour.
You don't want to stand up to a bully because you don't want them to start bullying you.
But he was pulled in by the raging waters, which carried him, get this, 1.5 miles down that pipe.
Picking up debris, all sorts of tree branches all around town.
Oh, what in the world is he doing in there?
Do you feel like a promise was broken there?
A promise we thought, in terms of...
It was coming down so fast and the wind was blowing so hard, never saw it coming, man.
Knocked out our internet, our phones. The only way that we really had to communicate with you was through social media.
Notice the camera bouncing around. Notice the distance from this thunderstorm.
She had a prosthetic pregnancy belly in her car.
Nothing's ever surprising.
And with 4 counts of vehicular homicide among the many charges filed today against the driver of a pickup truck which crashed into a utility vehicle last month.
I'll remember this the rest of my life.
The scanner traffic was heart-stopping.
311, send the ambulance. Officer Hammett's injured. He's been involved in a car accident, 45 miles.
A crash and 2 officers hurt, but just minutes before, a domestic disturbance call. When officers tell him to leave, Kelvin Plain Jr. isn't happy, swearing and peeling out. He's gone for a few minutes, then he calls his girlfriend, Candace McHugh.
Hello?
Seconds later, he's back. Inside the squad car that hit the tree, Officer Randall Hammett, and he's hurt. Inside the older car there, Sergeant Brooke Carter, also injured. Chief Dan Trelka was there soon after.
Actually ran into 2 of our squad cars, hit one of them square in the rear of the car and pushed it up into a tree, struck one other squad car and 1 or 2 other vehicles, and it's just a mess down there.
The first officer and Carter run to Plain's car, while Hammett pulls himself from the wreckage and walks over, dazed.
Randy, you're fine. Come on. Go sit down. Randy, please go sit down.
They cuff Plain.
We got 1 in custody.
You can hear him on the ground, sobbing. But his girlfriend says it wasn't about hurting officers, but just a lot of pent-up stress.
So it just all came out right now in a bad way. Of course, I'm sorry that it has to happen like this. Sorry to the officers that did get hurt, but he was trying to hurt himself.
But Trelka says they were lucky and in incredible danger.
And this is just an example of it, and thank God none of the officers were killed.
And he says he's proud of their response under pressure, watching the tape, and Sergeant Carter's response, honking.
She sees the suspect driving back at a high rate of speed, and she's trying to warn the other officers that he's coming back.
Trelka says it's a graphic reminder of the risks officers run in the line of duty.
Our officers are dealing with explosive situations that could turn into this day in and day out.
Because when you're talking about putting your life on the line, this is it.
Yeah.
This is what's left of the Hersman family farm.
Everything was perfect and beautiful, and now it's gone.
Dana Ralphs says this home was everything to her family.
Maybe 15 plates. There's one still hanging up there on the wall.
Especially her dad. He built this house with his wife in 1978, and until now, it's made it through 2 tornadoes.
I watch the news all the time, and I always see, burning every rainstorm, there's a tornado that ruins somebody's life, and you feel sorry for them. And then when it hits, you know how they feel.
But this house, this room, and this destruction are hard to swallow because it reminds the Hersmans of their mom.
You know, we kept her here when she got sick and we took her to the hospital. She just kept saying, I want to go home. I want to go home. Just take me home. And so we did. We brought her to this living room and she died here in this living room. I brought her home.
And her ashes and urn have been home in this living room since 2012. They're with a daughter now, but even as winds ripped the roof off this house, her urn remained untouched.
I'm a faithful believer that she kept him safe.
The Hersmans have no doubt their mom's presence had something to do with saving their dad from the storm that destroyed their house. In Delaware County, Shelley Russell, KWWL News.
When Tom Rowan heard about the tragic death of 4 local 14-year-olds, he knew he wanted to do something to help.
You know, I was at a loss for words and didn't know what to think.
So this owner of Envision Tees and graduate of Western Dubuque High School designed a T-shirt with the Western Dubuque Bobcat on the front shedding a single tear. On the back, the 4 boys' initials for Bryce Wilwert, Sean Canale, Mitchell Kleesner, and Nicholas Kramer, and their silhouettes hand in hand with the Bobcat mascot.
Here's your 3 acts, hon.
The busy work area was filled with volunteers who simply showed up, eager to help fold and sort the shirts.
It's a close-knit community. People really are called to serve one another. They help one another. They come together when times are tough, and that's what they're doing now.
Employees say there has been a line all day long as people stream in to show their support. This is how the storefront looked all day, the demand outpacing the supply.
Being here today, whether it takes waiting in line or whatever, just feels like the least we can do, I guess, when you're not really sure what to do.
It's hard feeling helpless in a tragedy of this magnitude, but for now, support and comfort come in the form of a T-shirt.
Family, friends, and rescue crews are not giving up in searching for that missing 17-year-old swept away in a storm drain.
I don't think I'll be safe around him.
It was just after 7 Monday night when police and firefighters responded to 2 teenage boys that had been swept away into a storm drain. Authorities on scene tell us 3 teenagers were walking near Arthur Elementary to play frisbee. One of the teenagers was in water and eventually was swept into the storm drain.
Be very careful of the current. It's very strong.
That's when police tell us one of his friends, also 17, tried to help and he too was swept in. He was later found alive in a drain pipe that runs into the Cedar Lake more than a mile from where he entered. He was treated and released from an area hospital.
It's really scary because I have a child of my own, and it has to be extremely scary and sad.
Rescuers haven't found the first teen after more than a 5-hour search of the lake, manhole, and sewers throughout the area. Family and friends wait patiently while others help search, hoping and praying their loved one is found.
Yes, it's an eye-opener for all young kids not to play around the sewers.
Now, crews suspended their search around 1 this morning. They say they will resume again sometime around 8 o'clock. We've got you covered in Cedar Rapids. I'm Justin Andrews, KWWL News.
Multiple gunshots in a Waterloo neighborhood hit not 1 but 2 homes. Bullet holes through windows and siding, inches away from where this woman sleeps.
At least 20. Boom, 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 boom. Not pop, 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 pop. Boom, 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 like a war zone. And I'm in the bed, and the shots are all around my bed.
The woman we spoke with, who wants to remain nameless, told us she's concerned because she also has a 3-year-old in the home with her.
Who wants to be in their bed, sleep, waking up to gunshots coming at your head in your sleep? No, I can't do it.
Hours after bullets flew, we caught her as she and a few friends loaded up their car to move. Her home has at least 3 bullet holes through the siding. And across the street, this home had at least 5 shots through the window. These pink stickers mark the bullet holes.
Why guns? Innocent children could have been killed last night. Not hurt, but killed over nothing.
The solid white robe and sharply pointed white hat is recognized worldwide as a symbol of hate, prejudice, racism. When you see it, you know it's the Ku Klux Klan. So imagine the shock and anger for students on the campus of the University of Iowa when they saw a statue depicting a Klansman right in the middle of campus.
There are kids at elementary school right now who passed by here and saw that. They're still in school thinking about that movie where KKK was hanging him. That's all we're remarking, to make sure there is, transparency of what's going on here.
What was going on was apparently art. At least that's what U of I art teacher Surat Tayolashore says was happening. He created it to start a conversation about racism.
Many of us avoid not to see. We ignore racism. We live with it every single day.
He said it's for our art project. I just don't think it was appropriate, and especially something so like racially and historically offensive.
U of I administrators ordered the teacher to take the statue down immediately, but it wasn't soon enough for some.
You said you were an ally, right? I asked you to leave hours ago.
You know, at that point where black people aren't expected here.
The statue was quickly packed up, but the conversation and dismay, I'm sure, continues tonight.
What happened inside this ER is a big breach of patient privacy. According to these documents, a hospital housekeeper took a photo on her cell phone of a naked patient. She tells us her colleague dared her to do it.
If someone dares me to do something, you know, I don't want them to think, oh, she's chicken, you know. So I did, and then after that I thought, oh God, that's stupid. So I erased it, you know, and that's what cost me my job.
Now Kim Niedert wants to clear her name.
Why did you want that on your phone?
Because the girl dared me to take the picture, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to. And then she goes, oh, come on, do it. And I'm like, okay, so I did. And then that's when I got caught.
So if she dares you to jump off a bridge, would you
no,
jump off a
no, because I don't know how to swim.
But what makes the situation different?
It doesn't. It doesn't.
No one from the hospital would talk to me about the incident between Niedert and her cell phone, but according to this document submitted to the state from hospital officials, all patients who come here have a right to privacy, and they feel Niedert violated that right. Niedert says she doesn't think the patient knows she took her photo, but says either way, it was a mistake.
I am very sorry. Very sorry.
In the weekend's Christmas frenzy, Strawberry Foods was quiet, just a few shoppers.
But these next few weren't here to shop, and they definitely didn't grab a cart.
Linda Putz
It was like 4 o'clock.
was at the register.
Standing up here at the register, and I just looked up, and there was 2 deer, 2 doe, come running through the door, pushed it open by themselves.
Surveillance cameras caught it all. 2 rogues from Santa's sleigh stopping by for a few essentials, checking out the produce, the soda, and the liquor aisle, of course. And that didn't sound too good.
Very bad. Bottles cracking, breaking. I mean, it's just glass.
Some bottom shelf liquor smashed.
Yeah, well, at least I got the cheap stuff.
So I kept thinking, oh my God, the Jack Daniels, or, you know, the... So
Emily Ash heard him coming.
So I went that way, and there's a deer over there by like the whipped cream and stuff.
But when they got one look at the meat counter, the does thought it was time to go.
She could have. I would have.
With everything checked off their grocery list, they checked out. Not the rudest customers they've ever had.
I don't say if they were really rude. They were just shaken up and did their shopping and just ran back out the door. They were in a hurry.
You know, you're just like, what do you do, you know?
There's a plane out there. I'll bet that's our plane, huh?
This is Don. He'll turn 90 next week.
I better not forget my coat.
He's a father of 8 and a Korean War-era veteran. He has seen a lot in his 9 decades, but he has no idea what's ahead of him on this day.
And where from? Atkins, okay.
Don, along with 81 other veterans, will board the Eastern Iowa Honor Flight for Washington, D.C., a city Don has never seen. At Reagan National Airport.
There.
I'm a hugger.
Oh, so nice. Thank you.
Perfect strangers.
He's a Vietnam veteran, too.
Greet this group of Iowans as if they've been friends for life.
Nice to see you people come out. That's great. That's great. We didn't expect this.
USA! USA! USA!
First stop in D.C. is at the World War II Memorial.
I think I see somebody.
Don is surprised by 3 of his nieces who landed in Washington before he did.
What a reunion.
Thank you so much for your service.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I wish the brothers could be here. Yeah.
Don's 2 older brothers, Daryl and Cyril, both World War II veterans, are being honored on this day through a special program called Flags of Our Heroes.
Present
Daryl's son Gene joins Don in a private ceremony saluting 2 men who died before they could see their own memorial.
I wanted some way to honor my dad.
Sarah Beck first learned of Flags of Our Heroes a year ago.
I thought, that's it. That's what I'm going to do.
Her dad, Cyril, born in Brooklyn, Iowa, was an air traffic controller in the Army.
I'm just so proud of him.
Cyril's brother, Daryl, was in Normandy.
He had a rough go. He really did. There was 160 guys in his outfit in the 3rd Armored Division of the 1st Army, and only 7 of them came back.
Daryl did come home, perhaps thanks to a divine roadside intervention. As the story goes, he was in a convoy in Normandy and spotted someone selling rosary beads, which he wanted for his mother.
He got out, and they were hit by fire, and he always told the story that those rosary beads saved his life that day.
He surely did his part. He really did. And Cyril did too.
He would have just loved today. He's just saying, wow, look what they did. You know, look what they did for me, but, you know, it's the least that I could do for him.
I like your hat. Can I shake your hand?
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, that's great.
Another stop, another surprise. Students from Maryland with thank you cards.
Oh, that was nice of those kids and the teacher to bring them, you know.
From there, a whirlwind tour of war memorials. Korean, Vietnam, the brand new Veterans Disabled for Life Memorial near Capitol Hill.
Isn't Arlington Cemetery immense?
This could be the most unforgettable stop.
You are about to witness the changing of the guard. In keeping with the dignity of this ceremony, it is requested that everyone remain silent and standing.
The silence is deafening in a way that's hard to describe unless you witness it yourself. The tomb of the unknown soldier is guarded all day, every day. To symbolize the highest military honor, the guard marches 21 steps, pauses for 21 seconds, and then takes another 21 paces. Don's nephew, Gene, is one of those selected for the wreath-laying ceremony.
Present.
I'll remember this the rest of my life.
As he stopped at memorial after memorial, his thoughts turned to sacrifice and his own service.
My orders had come down to go overseas, and I was in an automobile accident in Indianapolis. And by the time I got out of the hospital, they said it's too late to send you over there.
His service time was about up, but there's no time clock on his sense of humor.
I fought a lot of battles in the United States: Indianapolis, Fort Worth, Dallas, Aurora, Cincinnati. I was in a lot of tough battles.
For the most part, his focus is on those who did serve in the foxholes. And as he leaves Washington with the rest of the Iowa crew, he is thanking them for their service. There's just enough time for one more revelation. 1,000 people line the Eastern Iowa Airport in Cedar Rapids to welcome the veterans home.
Right? We never expected this.
You deserve it. Yeah,
well, thank you.
As the music ends and well-wishers say goodnight, Don pauses at the airport to reflect on a day that he would call one of the greatest in his life. A private moment with a letter, one of about 24 he received on the flight home.
Grandpa, thank you for serving the country at the Korean War. I love you to Korean and back a million zillion times. They could not have done it without you.
What is it like to be in war? I really cannot imagine serving in the Korean War or any kind of war. Sent with lots of love, your granddaughter,
Maddie.
It's a day he will cherish, and so will I, because Don is my dad.
Love you, Dad. Oh, thanks, Jerry. Thank you. It's been an overwhelming day. Overwhelming day, yeah.